right, so let's start with actually, yeah, let's start with the goals here. All right, so, well, first of all, we have a couple of questions. I like to ask myself questions as well when I want to understand things, but I also do other things as well. So let's do adopt that method, and I also adopt even the questions as well. That's good. So, all right. So a new video will denote that by a line. Okay. All right. So what is a psychologist's goals? All right. So actually, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna use that. I'll instead use. I'll use. Well, let's see. Let's get a new color. I'll use pink. So psychologist goals. So see, sometimes I rhyme without even thinking about it, as I am automatic as fuck. So psychologist goals. Well, the goals that are important are really what is exactly psychology. So what is the subject that we want to study? So, so what is psychology? And what philosophical questions motivate psychologists? So I'm reading really the book as I'm working in the video, because it's really good. I want to give like also it also not only gives me you guys intuitions about how I think, but also it gives me also intuition as well. It's great psychologist, and it's really probing in his brain, by the way. Okay, and then what do various kind of psychologists do? And well, we're not interested in like the last one, which is if you're majoring in psychology or not. But anyways, uh, yeah. So we don't really use psychology on people, but rather we understand ourselves more and we understand other people more. I don't like the word use on people. I don't like it whatsoever. Okay, so okay, so it starts out by like, of course, so one thing which is interesting is that you could see that. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna delve there. I'm not gonna delve. Let's just focus on psychology, okay? So, well, psychology. One interesting thing is that psych it derives from soul, and and uh, logos mean word. So one very interesting thing is that really I have I have an idea in regards to psychology that I call quantum uh, neuroscience, which is not really quantum. It's like lower than that, which which actually gives an indication that the what we call the soul or the human consciousness is really born around like 2 months, and I'll explore that later. But it's good to see it now. But anyways, or continuing on, what we have is the following. is that you have we don't really care, or actually it's like the history is nice to see a couple of influence. So in 1920, psychologists were thinking about like studying the mind, all right, and so what they were thinking about is that we also observe people, and also the mind is unobservable, all right. But the problem with observing people is that people, yeah, so that's not mentioned in the book, but people really are byproducts of many things, all right. So if you want to really a pure psychology, you want really to pin down branches of psychology, and pinning down things which delves into different aspects of psychology, and then that in that way you could see things emerging, such as evolutionary psychology, such as also societal psychology, cultural psychology, etc., etc. Family, like also constructions from family, etc., 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 etc. And then things like delve into million other thought process. Okay, and he defines psychology as a systematic study of behavior and experience. But this is how I'll define psychology. Okay, psychology. I'll use his definition first of all because I'm following his book, but I'll define it differently first. To me, psychology, like the basic form of psychology, is really how, like how the mind behaves with respect to input. Yeah. So this is how I will define it. How no how the mind processes input. Yeah. Yeah. Mind. So this is the basic form that I will use. Processes input. All right. And going into how they defined it, psychology, I'll use red, is a systematic study of behavior and experience. Systematic study of behavior and experience. All right. Okay, so experience really defines your perception of input. Okay, so let's define it like that. So yeah, let's define it like that. So experience. I'm just gonna use the same color, I guess, since I like to be systematic, and I like to be chaotic as well. It's good. It's good to have both. So experience is the input of perception. The input of perception. Okay. All right. So yeah. So I guess he's trying to argue now that people, when they think about psychologists, they think about clinical ones. So clinical is really part of psychology in the way that I explained before. But also psychology include research on sensation and perception, learning and memory, hunger and thirst, sleep, child development, and every other things involved. And a course in psychology Yeah, like it teaches you those aspects, those chaotic conditions. So like let me just tell you how my mind operates, okay? So, all right. So I have psychology. Then below that's a chaotic, not variable, but chaotic complexity that I captured in my mind. Below it, like or much below it, is clinical psychology. And clinical psychology is part of the chaotic tree that I'm gonna call it the chaotic tree, and also there's other things involved as well, and some of the properties or some of the key chaotic branches are gonna be called our key chaotic variables will be actually that our properties of psychology is like studying sensation and perception, learning and memory, hunger, thirst, attention, child development, and etc. All right. So yeah, like when you learn psychology, then you learn to understand behaviors that you never acknowledged before. Okay, all right. I'll end this video here. Okay.